Hello, 7th graders. Welcome back to our Flip Classroom videos. We are already on lesson 1-4 today. We're moving right along at the start of the school year. Today, we're going to be looking at adding fractions. Adding integers, I'm sorry. There's one mistake for the video today. This is 1-4. I can add integers, so you should be adding that target to your notes. And if you want to be following along in your book, we're starting on page 41. So I can add integers. Remember, integers are numbers that are negative and numbers that are positive. And the list goes on. So let's get started with our notes. Remember, you can pause me at any time to either catch up, pause, try a problem, and then come back and see how I do it, whatever works. We do have a little new format from the other videos that we're going to try today and the next couple days, looking at this kind of quadrant style. So to follow along with this, we're going to start over here on the left, and we'll kind of move to the right, and then we'll go to the bottom of the page. So adding integers, we know how to add. Now we're just going to be adding positive and negative numbers. You have seen this before, so I'm hoping that this will be a nice review, definitely worth reviewing, and we'll spend a bit of our chapter doing this. So we're going to look at using a number line to be able to add integers. We know this right here is a number line, and we can do our coordinates of what our numbers mean. So to do a number line to add -4 plus -2, what you do is kind of start at 0, and you see, what does -4 represent? Well, I know my negative numbers are to the left of the number line, so -4 is 4 units to the left, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm here at -4, and what I want to do is add a -2 to that. Well, adding we think is a positive movement to the right, but a -2 we know is a left movement, a negative movement. So from that -4, we're going to go 2 units to the left, so we go over 1 and 2, and where we end up is that -6. Okay, so that's how a number line helps us to add integers. You can actually visualize what you're putting together. So you could pause me right now and give this second one a try, 3 plus a -4. You can give that a try right now, and then come back, or just go ahead and watch me do this. So since I'm at 3 plus -4, 3 is 3 units to the right of 0. So I'm going to start there at 0 and go 1, 2, 3 to the right. And then I'm going to be adding a -4. Adding, again, is a positive, but this -4 tells me I should be walking backwards. So from 3, I want to be moving 4 left. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and where I end up is at that -1. Okay, so there's a little bit of a visual for some of you. It's a great tool if you have a short number line and you want to kind of just map it out with your finger. If you have a cute little, tiny little knick-knack that you want to walk around the line, that works too. So that is one strategy, using a number line. Another strategy, and we'll definitely do both of these in class when we do some activities in the following days here, we're going to use counters. Counters are just little manipulatives that you have 2 different color sides, and we can have one be positive and one be negative. So if we want to see what this -3 plus a -2 looks like, we can use that using counters. Here we see that this yellow represents positive, this red is representing negative. So we're starting with -3 right here. So I'm going to pull down 3 negative counters. Kind of think of it as I have 3 negative dollars. I owe someone $3. Then I'm going to add, I borrowed 2 more dollars from someone, so I know I owe them 2 more. So now at the end of that I have my -3 and my -2, I see that I have a total of -5. So when I add -3 and -2, I end up with a -5. Not so bad. You can try the -3, -6 plus 3 if you'd like. pause me and come back, or I'm going to give it a go right now. I always give you a chance to pause before I start talking. So since I'm starting with -6, I'm going to grab 6, gotta put my marker back, grab 6 negatives. That's what I have right now. And I only have 4, so 6. And I'm adding a +3 to that. So I'm going to pull those 3 over. This does not mean that I have 9, okay? If you're looking in your book and you're on page 43, at the top, there's 2 important vocab words that'll help you understand how this canceling that I'm going to do works. If I were to add, say, a -1 plus 1, well, that's just going to get me to 0. If I were going to add a -2 plus a +2, that's going to get me to 0. A number that is opposite on the number line of 0 than another number, they're going to add to 0. So they're called opposites. And the sum of any number and its opposite is 0. So the sum is 0. So that's called an additive inverse. Okay, so since I have a -3 and or -1 and a +1, that's 0. So that one makes that go away. I have this counters with this and it's gone. This counters with this and it's gone. So those 3 are now nowhere to be seen. We're kind of wiping those away. They cancel each other out. And what we're left with is a -3. So if you have -6 plus 3, you end up with a -3. Because those 6, technically, the 3 negatives and the 3 positives, those added to each other to have a sum of 0. Okay, I want to do a little bit more hands-on with that so you can kind of get a feel for how that works as well. I really like working with those. Maybe you're someone who just likes to know the rules, and this is really great, especially when we get some bigger numbers and we don't want to dump out 200 counters. The rules just help us understand the integers. So if numbers have the same signs, meaning, if you add 1 plus 2, those are both positive numbers. Well, if I have a positive amount and I add more to it, well, I'm just getting more positive. But if I have a negative amount and I'm adding a positive amount, that's going to be a little bit different. Okay, so that's what's going to happen down here when we go to the different signs. Okay, but when it's the same sign, you're going to get the same answer. Just like if I had -2 plus -1, well, I'm already negative and I'm just going more negative, so my answer will be negative. This is definitely something you want in your notes. So the rules for adding integers, if the signs of each number are the same, you're just going to add them and keep that sign. I know that 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay, and they're both positive, so it's +3. I know that 2 plus 1 is 3, but since they're both negative, my answer is negative. Different signs, like I said. -5 plus 2, that's a little different. What you're going to do is actually subtract. Keep the sign of the number with the largest absolute value. Well, this is a little bit something we're going to talk about. We talked about yesterday. Absolute value, we know. So the absolute value of -5 is actually 5. So that's the larger one. If I take 2 away from 5, I get 3. Since I have 5 and there's technically more negatives, my answer is going to be negative. So take a second to get these notes written down. Different signs. Subtract. Keep the sign of the number with the largest absolute value. Or you can write down the simple thing. Different signs, find the difference, if that helps you. What I always like to ask myself is, which do I have more of? Which do I have more of? And that's the one that I'm going to take the sign from. And then just subtract. Pretty straightforward on the rules. Again, remember, those are in your book. Those are in your book on page 42 for different signs and 41 for the same sign. Okay, so this next section you can try some. So you could pause me for a quick second. Use any strategy, again, that works for you. I'm not going to tell you one way is better than the other because that really is up to you and how your brain works. So for me, I'm going to walk through them. Maybe I'll try a couple different strategies. What I'd like to ask myself here on this first one, I always like to say, are the signs the same or different? The signs are the same. They're both negative. So since they're both negative, my sum is going to be negative. I know that 4 plus 5 is 9. So my answer is a negative 9. The second one, my signs are different. I have a negative here and I have a positive here. Well, which one do I have more of? I know that the absolute value 16 is more than the absolute 9. So then I can do, well, 16 minus 9 is 7. So my answer, I have more positives, is going to be a positive 7. Next one's negative 9 plus 5. Again, I see that I have more negatives than I do positives. So right away I know my answer is negative. So then I can do, well, 9 minus 5 is 4. So I have 4. And if you wanted to do that with counters, that's more than okay. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 negatives, which will cancel with 5 positives. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I kind of cancel them out. What's left over? 4 negatives, if you want to picture that. Last one, and then I want you to do kind of check out your book and see if the word problems that are in there as well, and see that 8 plus negative 6. You can do this in an order. What I might do here is see that I have, since I know addition can go in any order, that commutative property, I can reverse the order and it makes no difference. So I'm going to go 8 plus 5 plus negative 6 because I want to add these positives together first. Again, this is just my strategy. If you want to try something else, you are more than welcome. So 8 plus 5 I know is 13 plus that negative 6. Ask myself, which one do I have more of? More positives or more negatives? I know I have more positives, so my answer is going to be positive. And I can do 13 minus 6 is really 7. Notice what I did there. 13 plus negative 6 is actually the same as 13 minus 6. Okay, so if you're running into word problems tomorrow in class, another thing to think about is instead of saying maybe I had $20 and I spent 7, knowing that's subtracting 7, maybe I have $20 and I owe the store. Owing would be a negative 7. Subtracting 7 is the same as adding, okay? Which we'll go into definitely tomorrow when we do subtraction and knowing that these two things are the same. Hopefully that wasn't too fast. I don't think so. Hopefully it wasn't too slow either. Remember, your strategies can be rewatch the video, read the examples in the book, or watch the personal tutors. Make sure you're taking notes, you're asking questions, or writing down things you do and do not understand so that we can talk about them when you come to class. It's been a pleasure as usual. See you tomorrow.